Oh, good. We out here. We out here. What up? What up? What up, gentlemen? How y'all doing today?
How y'all doing today, man?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing great.
Maintaining,
Living.
staying afloat. You know, how's everybody's week been?
Busy. I ain't gonna lie. I had a lot of stuff to do this week. You know, I didn't do none of it, but it don't change the fact that I gotta do it. So yeah.
Adulting with finesse, fam. Take your time and just thrive. You feel me?
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
How you holding up out in these internet streets, Carl?
I can't complain, man. Ready to get into these topics. For everyone who doesn't know, once again, I'm Carl Tomlinson, aka Chaos Black.
And I am Banks himself. Sorry to cut you off, Will. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Nah, flourish, King. Talk your piece, King.
I'm Banks himself. You know, a world-renowned Call of Duty player. Not really, but but yeah, Banks himself. You follow me on Instagram.
And I am he, formerly known as MILF God. That guy is buried, long and gone. Today, I just go by William H. It's your boy Murphy's Law 615. You are now rocking with the best. I'd like to welcome all of you excited Prism Black Allies to the Prism Black Podcast, episode 3. We out here. Yeah, buddy. We out here. We doing it. So, lots been happening, man. Lots been going on in the past week. Should we just jump right to it? Oh, side note, before we get to the topics, I do want to mention we have a new Batgirl. Shout out to Leslie Grace Martinez. This is now the third rendition of Batgirl. This will be a Barbara Gordon Batgirl who's going to be featured in an upcoming movie that is going to be exclusive to HBO Max. So that's great for DC, I guess. We'll have to dive into the idea. Did DC give up on the extended universe, the DCEU? Did Warner Brothers just throw that to the side and say, meh? Or are they still crafting that?
I kind of wish they give up on the DCEU period or just restart it, because man, I've been let down so many times by DC, and every time I go into watching their movies thinking, you know, this time it'd be different. It's never different. It's duty. Every time I haven't seen a good DC movie since Batman trilogy, and it's been downhill ever since then. Just to be completely honest, that's my honest opinion. Sorry, DC. I love Batman. Love Green Lantern. You know, Flash. You get a pass, but
take it you were not a fan of Man of Steel.
It was okay. The first one was okay. The first one was okay. The second one, not Man of Steel, but the second Superman,
Batman versus Superman.
No, that one sucked. That was pure cow poop, wet cow poop on bread. That's what that was. It was a shit sandwich.
That's a hot take. Okay, yeah, Banks, how you really feel?
Batman versus Superman sucks, dude.
Yeah, I'm ready to get into the topics. Talking about DC movies is depressing.
Well, there you have 2/3 of the Prism Black Podcast take on the DCEU. So first, new animes y'all are watching. Anything that since the original list we started, anything y'all caught up on? I
started watching BEM last night. But after watching like 3 episodes, I realized I've already watched it before. So I went on ahead and watched 4 episodes of that.
BEM, is that the they turn into demons or monsters or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's dope.
Well, go ahead.
No, I said that's dope. I've seen it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I watched that too. That was good as hell. Did we get a second season or is that a one and done?
I'm not sure. I finished it. First time I watched it, I forgot I watched it, and it was a while back ago. So I don't know. I didn't finish it again this time. So if I watch the last episode again, I'll probably go from there. We can always just Google it and find out. So
side note, this is completely random. I feel like BEM is a Cowboy Bebop copy.
Yeah, that's it's really what got me like watching it at first, was like hearing the music from the intro. So from there, I was kind of like, you know, I'm gonna mess with it. I'm gonna see what they do.
Yeah, I forget the main character's name, but his whole struggle to want to be human.
Yeah.
Like it's very noir, and like it has definitely some good pickup, Carl. Definitely some relatable parallels to Cowboy Bebop. All right.
Especially when you have 3 main characters, 2 men, 1 woman.
a proven formula, tried and tested, that doesn't fail with anime.
You know what? And this after this, I promise I'm done and we can get to the topics. But some people feel like it's bad, I guess, to copy a formula that's worked, and I don't feel that way. I feel like that's smart. I feel like if you take something away from something that's successful, I mean, that's what you should do. Like, why would you try to reinvent the wheel when it's already been discovered?
Yeah, but isn't that what everybody does though? I don't think that anything on TV is like 100% original, no matter how much people say it's original. Like you can always relate it to something.
I mean, where we're at in terms of all that's come before us, how much more original could new writing get? Just out of curiosity.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if every story to its, like if you break down any story to like its basic, so what? It's gonna be relatable or something. So I don't really see no problem with that. As long as you're not just like, oh, this is Naruto, but with instead of headbands, they got on hats. I would be like, okay, that's a little too much.
The sandals they got on Nikes.
Yeah, like no sandals, we got on Nikes and hats. So, but it's pretty much same story, same everything. We do power, it's pretty. The characters even look the same. But like, stuff like that. Yeah, I'll give you that. But like, as far as it's like,
there's a word for that, isn't it? Plagiarism.
Yeah, it's like copyright infringement.
Copyright infringement, stuff like that. Yeah. All right, I know Carl's ready, man. Let's my new animes, I did start Case of Arnitas. It's exactly what I thought it was. Vampires, some interesting Black Plague, dopeness. 3 episodes in, episode 4 hitting this week's got my attention. And Sunny hit. I like the way they started off. We defined a couple of powers for these kids. They're in some dark dimension, and just before you know it, it kind of takes off at the end. So I'm excited to see where they're going. But we won't hold y'all back or hold the mainstay of the topics for this evening. Let's get the proceedings proceeding. Loki. All right, guys. How we feel?
Age before beauty.
Age before beauty?
Carl, I think we're about the same age. When's your birthday, bro?
That's irrelevant. So
happy birthday to me then. Fuck it, I'll go first. Loki.
I see. Oh, by the way, Banks, I see you with that Georgie on. You look rather dapper, good sir.
Yeah, man. Get my little Georgie jacket on.
What is that? Is that the newest in the Prism Black spring collection? What is that?
Actually, it's the Prism Black winter collection that came out last year. The
Prism Black winter.
Spring
okay, that's the winter collection.
Is the monotone jackets, pink, royal blue, and red. But yeah,
okay.
This is the older one, so yeah. But
okay, mad flavors. Y'all get you some fresh live yellow sneakers to go with that when you cop that. Word. Go ahead, Banks.
Loki, I ain't like just like Black Widow. I wasn't excited for it at first, but I watched it and I was thoroughly impressed. Just like the first episode got me like really questioning like, oh, what's gonna happen next? So stuff like that, it kind of like draws me in. So from watching from the first episode, wondering like who's behind all this, who's the the culprit behind both schemes. So there's 2 schemes going on at the same time. So you just it's kind of like a detective show, more so than a Marvel show, but it's a detective show with Marvel characters, and it's really good, especially the end, which is really gonna kick off like the next phase of movies. So it's all somebody's fault, and I don't want to tell you.
Let me interject real quick, Banks. Spoilers, guys, just in case. Go ahead, Carl.
That's why I was trying to avoid the spoilers, but you can't talk.
Do we want to avoid spoilers with Loki? We can do that if y'all want to stick to it.
We're not avoiding spoilers.
All right. You have been warned. We're not avoiding any spoilers.
Carl is a ruiner. He loves, and I'm with you, bro. Let's ruin it for people who hadn't watched it. Go ahead, bro.
Okay, so how I feel about it is, it's completely not what I was expecting. When I think of Loki, this was 100% not what I was expecting from a TV show. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. And like to piggyback off what Banks was talking about, this is like some true detective like stuff like going on. Like they're trying to solve like a problem all throughout the show. And like another thing, I'll say that I like, they make you empathize and almost feel sorry and almost like bring you to like Loki as a character more so in this TV show, because like most of the time, like when you see Loki, I guess in like comic books or like Marvel movies or TV show, Marvel like animated like cartoon TV shows or whatnot, usually Loki is like this like Weasley, greasy, like sleazy, like
mischief
person. Like you just don't really like mess with. Like if he was your like, you wouldn't be friends with him. I mean, you wouldn't like. I mean, if you see him walking around like, oh shoot, like here come this fool. Like it's just Loki. You never really identify with Loki, and like the TV show gets you to do that. It I won't say as much as like take for instance, like a lot of people identify with Killmonger in the Black Panther movie or whatnot, and because for various reasons we won't get into, but there's some of that going on because you learn a little bit about like his background, and then in one of the episodes where he gets to see out his whole life played out, you almost feel sorry for him because like he didn't. I mean, obviously he doesn't know because he's taken. For those of you who haven't seen the Marvel movie, this takes place when they're going back for the Infinity Stones in the last Avengers movie, and they mishap and try to get the cube, and Loki grabs the cube and disappears with it. So this version of Loki doesn't know everything that's happened to him that we've already seen. So it's very interesting from that point of view. But I won't take up. I'll come back later and like add some more stuff. But Will, what do you think?
I mean, so I'm a big sucker for time, and particularly in my science fiction. I love when people can take a story dealing with any type of time travel or any type of space-time continuum and build off of that. Because I think for a long time in pop culture, we all kind of accepted the notions that Back to the Future set forth. And Marvel's done a very good job of unraveling that. I like the connections they made. They established a connection from Doc Strange when the Supreme, what's her name? Tilda Swinton played her, traitor. The Supreme sorcerer that brought in Stephen Strange. When she talks to him about the how that whole time stream works, and to your point, Carl, we come right back where the end of Endgame is. In Endgame, when they're setting up all of these multiverses, and Marvel has done a fantastic and a stellar job at buttoning everything up and bringing it full circle. A lot of themes addressed with Loki. They showed us that he was a much deeper character than initially thought. And it kind of plays off, I think, lightly. And this is what I love about Marvel the most, because you can tell that writer's room, or at least the people that they bring on, are very much fans or at least informed on the material. And it's not so much a cash grab. There's a 2011 miniseries that I watched on Netflix, Thor and Loki Blood Brothers, in which Loki finally captures Thor, gets him chained. He's running Asgard. I think a conversation with Hela in some sort of in the underworld at some point, he sees that no matter what happens in every alternate universe, every version of reality where he and Thor exist, say what?
He loses.
Yeah, he's meant to be Thor's, supporting role. He's gonna lose if he challenges Thor. And at the end of that, he kind of comes to this realization that I might as well just step into who I'm meant to be and not cause the problems. But at this point, it's too late. And I think when we get to the 5th episode of Loki, we see a lot of those variants of him. We see they pull from a lot of different elements. I really appreciated them bringing that character back full circle. And most importantly, the idea that Loki is such a narcissist, he could fall in love with himself. Because that's pretty much what he did. Like,
not to interrupt,
what up?
Was Golden Age Loki not y'all favorite?
I did like the Golden Age Loki, bro. Golden Age Loki got busy. Golden Age Loki was flexing out there, bro. I was just like, oh shit,
bro. Golden Age Loki was like, legit, bro. And I was telling my wife the difference between the Lokis, and I was like, that's Golden Age Loki, that's Kid Loki, that's Black Loki. Even though his name ain't Black Loki, but when they made Loki a black character. But yeah, just seeing that, and then like seeing how they tied comic book stories and then tied it into the multiverse by simply making them different characters and all put them into one, and then making it seem like those stories by different writers were just different universes, and then tying that into
Flawless
the show.
rollout.
Yeah, it was good.
Flawless rollout. I got a question for y'all. We've seen now with Loki, it's established that he's been the catalyst now for two, what I'm going to refer to as ELEs in the Marvel Cinematic. Like he kicks off the whole Infinity. We saw that, right? Everybody saw Avengers. If you haven't, shame on you. And now it seems that a variant or a version of Loki, we see our Loki get a change of heart after watching his whole life play before his eyes, which, yeah, seeing your neck get broke by big Papa Thanos might do something to you. But do you think that there's going to be there's a significance to the fact that Loki has been the two-time catalyst for all of this? Because if this is any indicator of what's coming, and I think last pod I called out Secret Empire. I'm not walk that back, but I can definitely get they're doing a lot. They're not just Secret Empire, Secret Invasion. We got some hints of that. We got Marvel, Secret Wars for sure. But what do y'all think the significance is of Loki being that catalyst for these two events and how that's going to maybe play out in the future of Marvel?
Me personally, I just think that goes back to Loki being the troublemaker. Like even when he's not trying to cause trouble, a Loki from somewhere else is causing trouble. So it's just, I think just playing off of that was why Loki is the centerpiece of both of them, because he's like the god of mischief. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think not to be like really simplistic with my answer, but I think Loki's very good at introducing really good villains. Like he was the gateway to Thanos, and like Will said, spoilers alert. At the end, you see he's the gateway to Kang the Conqueror, and basically you see like I mean. I'm not saying Kang is a better villain than Thanos, but I mean,
it's yet to be determined. I mean, come.
I'm not saying he's a better, but I'm saying what I will say is though, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, I just would. If I had to pick between the two, I mean, you couldn't do really.
So. How deep in the Kang the Conqueror mythos, if you will, are you into that? Like everything? Because I don't even want to really compare them as villains, because I know that there's Kang really just to me in the MCU as he fits is just another catalyst to open up what they're gonna do. Like with these multiverses, with Secret War, the characters are looking to introduce, like we are 100%. Like I've heard some whispers, and we'll get to this character later, but there's a chance we might get Blue Marvel. We very well should get Miles Morales introduced to the live action. In fact, I'm counting on it now, knowing what I know about Into the Spider-Verse 2, and I'm excited about what that's going to set up. But Kang is really just a segue kind of to open up this entire world of what Marvel can do, and it's going to be a forever bag for Disney.
Okay, so
but the Infinity Siblings. We'll come back to that after you finish your point. Go ahead.
But I was gonna say. So for those who haven't seen at the last episode, Loki and another version of himself, they introduce us to Kang, and like basically he's the orchestrator, or like all the things that they see wrong or whatnot, and to be on their side a little bit, he has done a lot that's wrong. But the kicker part about all of this is that this version of Kang that we're introduced to is very likable, laughing, joking, all the things like you don't really see in like the Kang or the different Kangs that we've seen in whether that be in cartoons or comics or whatnot along those lines. So it's a little bit of dramatic irony because he tells them, he's like, yeah, I'm just kind of tired right now, and I mean, I just want to reset. So I mean, if you take over or kill me, I mean, I'm fine either way. But hey, just so you know, if you kill me, the other versions of me, he said you don't want to deal with them. And like we know what he's talking about, because like what And shout outs to the actor,
Jonathan Majors.
To the actor playing him. I'm side note, completely random. I'm upset that we're not going to get a second season of Lovecraft Country, which he starred in. That's another.
It was a single book. I don't know if people realize that. Which, not to say we couldn't. I think they could definitely create more. But they told that story fair. Like, I've got the book. They told that story fair. Like, I would love a second anthology like season, but in terms of sticking to what the book was about, like, I love Lovecraft Country. Like, I'm cool with the not getting a continuance. It would be nice to have one, but I'm a fan of sometimes telling the story it's told and leaving it where it's at.
Yeah, I'm okay with anime being that way, but I'm not. But that's another topic for another day. But what I was saying though is that the version that he portrayed of Kang, of this particular version, was very lighthearted and really, really nice. And we knew, like, if you're familiar with Kang in like Marvel comics or cartoons or whatnot, we knew that he wasn't lying when he was saying, my other versions are ruthless compared to me. And I mean, I said, you guys might think I'm bad, but shoot, I'm nice compared to them. Yeah. And I'll let you guys go.
People need to realize that when we look at who we get introduced to, what's this Jonathan? What's his name? Because this variant is very much not even the Kang persona, which is what I find interesting about Kang. Because throughout the multiverse, like when we think about most of our heroes, throughout the multiverse we see a different version of them. Kang's many variants are very much different. Like a few of them are conquerors. You eventually get the Council of Kangs, stuff like that. But he very much has variants that that don't even look like the typical Kang, go by completely alternate personas, identities, and just once they tap in at some point, wake up to the fact of realizing or understanding who they truly are, which is usually through way of some variant of Kang coming to manipulate or do things along that reality. They carry on as they will. And there's one version of him who, as a regular dude, just built a company and pretty much was running the world from an economic standpoint. But we're gonna get this, in talking about the baddies with Kang and Thanos. There's an Infinity bit, sibling story bit that whether Marvel's going to hint on this or not in the MCU, I don't know. In the grand scheme, it's not overall, I think, that important, but caught the explanation on this briefly on YouTube through Rob Cord. There's a moment where Thanos and Kang do meet at some point in the future. And the basis of that conversation is Kang, being as sentient as he is, there's a version of him at the end of time by the name of Mortis who's seen it all, knows exactly what's going to happen, right? And this particular version of Kang is very much about the prerogative of setting up the reality where he can become the only Kang and become Immortus at the end. That's Immortus's entire shtick in terms of him going back and playing with the timeline as he does. And you get a moment between the two where Kang kind of admits to Thanos, like, I've seen how your story plays out, and like, bro, I can't F with you. So I'm going to help you do ... right now in exchange for in the future, in the reality that I'm working towards, you let me keep my section of the universe to rule for myself. So with that said, I don't think we may be 100% done with Thanos, because one thing that this multiverse does set up is that Marvel can bring back any character they want. And we do know that we're going to see a young Thanos in Eternals. So at some point, we very well may get a return to, they might bring back a few characters as they kind of weave through how they're going to roll this next phase out.
Bring back Tony Stark.
A moment of silence for Tony Stark.
Yeah, I got a question about the Loki series. I know you have to dumb down powers a little bit to make things like interesting or whatnot. But like, did you guys find it bothersome that like you didn't see a lot of Loki's like superior strength or magic abilities like when he's fighting?
Well, they explained that at the very beginning, that in the TVA his powers are nullified.
His powers are nullified, but I also don't think Loki believed in himself, because when Girl Loki was trying to tell him that you can enchant people, he kept saying, I can't do that. But I think in this timeline, Loki just didn't believe in his powers the way that my boy Golden Age Loki did.
Yeah.
But,
And we've seen that kind of running with Marvel, because the same thing happened with Thor and Ragnarok. He didn't realize what Odin had to tell him, are you the god of hammers or the god of thunder? I mean, he didn't realize, and we're very much seeing all of them develop and grow into the characters that their ultimate forms. I very much think we're going to see Odin's son, Thor, in Love and Thunder, whenever that comes out. So, but yeah, Loki, definitely, I don't think this particular version that we're stuck with knows the full potential, his full reach of his power. And of course, we see him get his neck before he even gets to explore that in one reality. So perhaps we'll see further development with our Loki. And fantastic job, Tom Hiddleston. He really played that role, but we might see him open up and do more in Phase 4. But what exactly is Loki's skill set, Carl? Like, what all, other than his Asgardian, that stuff, what else is he inept at doing? Or adept at doing, excuse me.
I'm not saying like he's like Sorcerer Supreme like Doctor Strange, but I mean, he's a fairly decent magician. Like when it comes to magic, like playing tricks or I mean, using his sorcery to project energy projectiles, things along that line. But this is random, a little random, but it's ironic that you mentioned the part where the woman version of Loki tries to get him to teach him enchanting people, and I was like, wait a minute, she does like enchant, like she enchants people. I was like, isn't that similar to what? So almost like what the Enchantress does, and I didn't even realize that she actually becomes a second Enchantress. Like
Enchantress is DC.
No, no, Amora, the Enchantress.
There's a Marvel Enchantress, because I thought when you said Enchantress, I thought you were talking about that. Okay, there's a Marvel.
Like she's a part of like the DC court with like Sith, Thor, Boulder.
Okay. From Earth 616.
She's just a
like
normal.
when Marvel was doing all the old.
No, I'm agreeing with. She's from Earth 6 Amora. Yeah, Earth 616. Yeah, Enchantress.
Yeah.
Go ahead, finish your point. I didn't know there was a Marvel Enchantress.
Yeah, I actually didn't know there was a DC Enchantress until like Suicide Squad. I just thought like the Marvel one was the only one.
They wasted that character in Suicide Squad. I know we're done talking about that, but God, we'll have to save that for later episodes to really break that down.
We'll talk about Suicide Squad when we're talking about the shit sandwich of Batman versus Batman. It's two shit sandwiches, a double deluxe shit sandwich.
My man said a double deluxe. That's like, remember when Taco Bell was serving the gordita and it was literally just a hard taco wrapped in the soft shell and they charged motherfuckers like an extra 69 cents for that shit? And y'all bought it. Y'all bought it.
It was broke.
All right, so we're excited about Loki. We like that. I did, speaking for me. Any final thoughts on where we're going before we get to the verses?
I got a question. What the hell do y'all think Leviathan is? Goliath. No, not Leviathan. I was thinking about Leviathan. It's Goliath.
The giant monster?
What is that?
It is. Go ahead.
I was thinking it was some kind of power linked to Dormammu because of what it was like.
From what I could find on looking it up, it is a monster, and it is only something that the first and last king, I think, were able to conquer and control. But it was manifested out of some energy, maybe the negative zone. I'll have to go back and double check because I didn't even write the notes down, but it manifested as a byproduct of something. He found that and conquered it in limbo at the end of all time where it was at and set it there, if I'm not mistaken. But unless you got some info I'm not privy to, Carl.
Yeah, I wasn't. I didn't know.
We can Google now. Why am I?
Yeah. It looks like Dormammu's cloud from Doctor Strange.
Okay. Goliath, and this is coming from Marvel fandom, is a temporal first being who broke free. It's the first being who broke free from the constraints of time. His empire is larger than that of Cain himself, stretching billions of years to before the rise of man on Earth. Domain is approximately 2 to 3 times as large as Cain's temporal empire. And it's because of Goliath that Cain never attempted to expand his empire vertically into more distant time eras and therefore extends only as far back as 2000 BC. Transtemporal entity existing across divergent timelines as an enormous cloud destroying everything it touches. Causes mass temporal disturbance, devastation across entire dimensions. Big badass is what it is.
I wonder if that's going to get out.
Did they? I don't recall them actually stopping that. They just enchanted it, right?
Yeah, Loki? They just enchanted.
Okay, so once it occupies a time period, it spreads out to engulf the adjacent realities. It negates temporal energy, preventing travel through it to a time before it exists. And attempts to travel through a life usually result in absorption into its mass.
So it's a black hole.
Something along, temporal, but something along those lines. I wouldn't, sounds like an end all be all kind of scenario with that. But the first being to break free from the constraints of time, that's an interesting sentence.
Yeah, because it's like he's the first being to break free and he has all this power. Who's the being who made it?
Yeah, or what compelled him to break free, even? What caused that? To want to, questions for the cosmos. All right, Carl, any of your final takeaways on Loki before we get to the exciting verses?
No, I'm not exactly too sure where they're going to go. I mean, I know like the season 2 is going to deal a lot with Kang, but I don't know where they're going to go. They could go in so many different directions. But
and Agent Mobius is returning, yeah? Because you just watched it. Is Agent Mobius coming back?
Yeah.
Word. I liked Owen Wilson. Side note.
I thought Owen Wilson did a good job.
Yeah, he definitely did a good job matching the energies. All right. If we ready to button that up and move on to some of these battles.
Button it up.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Real special treat. We're gonna do our first rendition of some verses here on the Prism Black Podcast. Guys, I took the liberty of doing some research on some of these scenarios, not in exclusive to what you guys already know, what we know, but just for our listeners and viewers who may not know. Up first, we've got for y'all the monsters from Quiet Place, known as Death Angels, going head up with the white spikes from the Tomorrow War. I've got some quick facts about each. Y'all want to lay out real quick before we get to the who's and what's not?
Well, I think each person should pick who they think would win and say and say why.
Well, do y'all want to know everything that their skill set before y'all just make a pick with an uninformed?
Nah, I've seen both the movies.
Yeah, talk about if you've seen the movie. If you have.
Wait, hold on. Before y'all get to that, for our listeners who don't know, the Death Angels are the aliens from Quiet Place. It's another planet from beyond whatever we know, and this is coming from the creator John Krasinski. They are parasitic-like predators, but they are the exact sort of a stamp on evolutionary perfection, damn near. Hence the fact that they have extreme heightened hunting, like no eyes, but can hunt by sound. They look like a mix of Cloverfield monsters and the Demogorgon to kind of give you an idea visually. They hunt by sound. They have developed a way to protect against everything. So these creatures are virtually invulnerable. Their home planet has been destroyed, but that invulnerability is only until they open up or they respond. Their weakness seems to be some sort of higher, different frequencies. They are strong enough to survive in the vacuum of space. They actually came to Earth by hitching a ride on meteors, bypassing their planet as it was exploding. And they come from a very volatile planet. They don't need oxygen to breathe or exist. They live a long time, but not exactly sure. We don't know if they're actually immortal. We don't know why they evolved, and we don't know how long they did survive. But we do know that they lived long enough to survive riding on the backs of meteors from whatever planet, which is well beyond the closest exoplanet, which is about 4.4 something light years away from us. But they operate sort of as a cohesive, not hive-like, but they do communicate, or at least, they do operate in pack sense. So your white spikes from the Tomorrow War, armored dorsals, vulnerable underbellies. They have tentacles that shoot spikes. Those spikes are grown over time, so it's not an endless supply. They are more of a ravenous hordes. They feed for 6 days. They are a full-out, ravenous, unstoppable hunt, kill, swarm. Everything in their path. Ultimate predators, very ancient. They've been on Earth for several millennia. In Tomorrow War, we see them thaw out, but they were very much alive in that thaw. They were actually in stasis in that spaceship. So these creatures, they are telepathically linked somewhat, because notice when they killed the first ones, injected them, the other ones woke up. So they were actually in stasis. They was on chill. It is suggested that they are either bioengineered or function as livestock used to like kind of clear a planet. The female is the hive mother. There are multiple females, but they're rare. Larger, tougher, more aggressive, a feral intelligence. and very much in sync. You see military tactics with these guys. I mean, they're pretty badass. So
All right,
the battlefield is set.
Who we picking?
I'm going with the white spikes.
Why?
Carl, what's your take?
No, I want to. You gotta say why.
You guys, are we going why before we all pick? But okay, so I'll do that. I'm going with the white spike simply because just pure numbers, dude. Like, like just looking at the Tomorrow War, like it's like, you ever seen ants crawl on candy? That's what I thought of when I seen like the white spike on Tomorrow War. Because the hive mother, all she does is breed them. So like at first, it's only a little bit of them. And even then, it's still hard to kill, even one of them with the injection. So with that, as they breed, they breed like ants. It's just like an endless supply of them. So like, let's say the monsters from Quiet Place, they only hunted like 2 and 3 in a pack. Like in the movie, or in the first movie, you only see like 2 and 3 of them together.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, maybe if it was 3-on-3, I would go on with the Quiet Place monsters, but that's not how they roll in Tomorrow War. It's just like endless droves of them, and like they literally can just shoot. I don't know how much those spikes can puncture, but they looked like they was going like 20-30 miles an hour, like shooting out their tentacles. Like, so like, if let's say one of the Quiet Place monsters opens his mouth and whatever, and he shoots one of those things in there, he's dead. It's done. And it's just too many of them. It's just way too many of them to try to fight them off.
Go ahead, bro.
I would say if it wasn't for them finding that cure, the Tomorrow War, we would have lost.
Yeah, in fact, we did lose the Tomorrow War. The future.
We lost multiple times.
We actually lost, and they were trying to change that. Based off what we know, I got to go with the white spikes simply because it comes down to the numbers. I think the Quiet Space Death Angels are very reactive. Like I said, they don't need food. They hunt, but they don't actually need it. They just kind of react and wait for stuff. The white spikes, they go after, but not only go after, they're very strategic. They seem to be able, they can see at night as well as in the daytime. They've got that going on, and they are supreme hunters. Watching that movie, there's that scene where Pratt and them are on their way out trying to get to the vehicles, and rather than go after the humans, the white spikes took out the transport. Like they know that. And then the hierarchy, the way they break down, whenever a female's not present, there's absolutely an alpha that steps up and goes general. And mind you, they communicate with grunt sounds, yells, stuff like that. Quiet Space Death Angels, that maybe gets them 1 or 2 they kill. But all it takes is for one to bark, like that, the way they react, one to bark off another, and the swarm is coming. And if we're putting them in a natural setting, I know this didn't seem a big deal for y'all, but the Death Angels aren't really fairly well, don't fare too well in water. If there were ever a scenario where they ended up in some water or just out naturally in a fight spill too, the white spikes actually can't swim. They can't fly though. I made a point to point that out because we see them glide in the movie. They can't fly, they can just glide. That is all that is. So if coming from the top or jumping down, they can, hawk down on some prey, but those things are effing agile, dude. Those tentacles, all that. Like we've got four legs, hind forearms up front. They've got 6, then 2 extra tentacles. So they're pretty much 8, that's 8 limbs. And them things,
they damn near bulletproof.
They move, bro. And that feral intelligence, it goes a little bit beyond that, because I noticed in that the queen, like I didn't see any of this with the Death Angels. The queen enacts vengeance against Foster's daughter. When they're trying to trap her in the cage, she goes straight to who she knows the boss is and looks her dead in her face, which love the design of them, the comic markings, all that. But I think there's a little bit more to the white spikes, and I honestly wouldn't mind a sequel to that if we could get one. But I'm going with the white spikes.
Okay, so if we're talking one-on-one, like one monster each, the monster from A Quiet Place would win. That's because they're virtually almost, I won't say they're not like invulnerable. Obviously they can be killed, but like from just a normal standpoint, if they're not being impaired by sound, you can't hurt them. like those spikes, it's not gonna penetrate their skin. And then even if they were to aim at their head or whatnot, they would have to figure out like over time, oh, like I've got to hit them like in the head. And then after that, they've got to be vulnerable long enough with sound to actually hit them in the head. They're not going to just stay still because once again, they can hear. So they're not going to be still. They're not going to be still once you fire, like once they fire like those spikes or whatnot. And then like the monsters from Tomorrow War, they're pretty durable, but they have weak spots. Like, I mean, the people were able to kill them as long as they aimed for like their core.
Only their underbelly.
belly.
That's their only weakness, the underbelly.
I know. I said like they have weak spots, but then again, if we're talking about like those monsters from A Quiet Place, these things can decapitate like people's and like whole bodies, and like one fell swoops can literally cut down trees or whatnot. So even if they strike a non-vulnerable area, you don't necessarily know that it wouldn't do damage like to them from that point of view. And then so if we're talking about like let's say there's a swarm, like let's say like the situation on Earth, like the two situations on Earth. Okay, so the monsters from Tomorrow War have the advantage in that because they have like more numbers. But what I'm speaking of, like if they were both in like a natural environment, let's say, I don't know, like I don't know, but let's say the monsters from A Quiet Place had a certain territory that they occupied, and the white spikes were attempting to invade on that. I don't think they'd be successful, just because like if the numbers are somewhat similar, even if they have like, I don't know, if it's like five, maybe a 5,000 like difference, like they said there are 5,000 more white spikes, I can't necessarily see them winning, because how are they going to hurt them? Like you get like in the Tomorrow War, they were able to extract blood from one of those white spikes to create a bacteria or a disease to wipe them all out.
They had to heavily sedate her.
I know, but I'm saying you can't.
Well, I'm answering your question, because here's the thing: the white spikes are also indestructible on the back. If we putting ourselves from an animalistic perspective, reactive but capable killer and hunter versus proactive capable killer and hunter, even in the 101, that animal's not openly exposing its weakness, and nor with the Death Angel. It's not. That one is a reactive, and the other is 100%. I'm going after you to kill you. That I don't see a scenario where it openly exposes to that, and what we get into a battle of who can outswing or outmaneuver the other. The white spike for me kind of figures out, like playing to its strengths, figures out how that thing moves, and it's.
No, how are they gonna?
Also, I don't see a scenario where there would ever be just a one-on-one, because you got to think, even with the white spikes, one thing they're good about, the males are voyeurs. That is a part of what they are. Their dying breath very much hive-minded waspy, like how wasp, if you kill a wasp, they send out to let nearby know that, oh, I got killed. They do that. So even on death, that signal's going out, swarm is coming. So
okay. I'm using a hypothetical because none of this is real. You can say how can they? You're saying like you say, I know, but you're saying like you don't see.
He said he knows he's moving the goalpost record. He just said, I know I'm moving the goalpost, but okay, you're moving the goalpost.
No, but you're saying like you can't see a scenario where there be 1-1. You're telling me it's two if one of each falls into a
what
ditch.
We know about them.
No, I'm saying, but if you're saying if one of each falls into a ditch, they won't just fight it out. Like not
you're creating it just like possible. All these. You're throwing in a bunch of variables to manifest it how you want it to go.
But you do the
straight up, if they were in a natural habitat and they ended up fighting, we know that one Death Angel, there's 2 to 3 or 4 lurking somewhere nearby, because they do cover areas, territory.
Yeah.
We know the White Walkers, White Spikes do the exact same thing, but we're dealing with 2 species that are both, we don't know how old they are. We know they're both very old, very ancient. But the White Spikes, just being seemingly, from what I've seen and what we know, they seem to be better hunters. Any animal that's a proactive in about that versus the Death Angels are very much reactive. And that might be because they don't actually require any sustenance.
No,
I'm giving it the one that's more seasoned for the experimentation.
Okay. What I'm saying is that I'm saying that in a natural environment, I don't think the white spikes could beat them. Like what I was saying earlier, they were able to draw blood for the white spikes to develop a disease to kill them off. You can't even draw blood from the monsters from A Quiet Place because what I'm saying is like they're harder to kill. Like
so we know that they are invulnerable like that, but they can't be killed by conventional. That's very clearly outlined in Quiet Place as well. Our conventional means of killing something does not stop them. That frequency thing, and we have not seen them come against a bigger threat that could, like, I don't care how hard you are. If something bigger than you picks you up and pulls like this, you can be ripped. Like we haven't seen them as predators, or well, they're not really predators, as whatever they, because they're parasitic predators. Yeah, as what they are, they target weaker. So against humanity in our conventional ways, sure, probably. That's not to say that some, bigger monster, because for whatever planet they come from, they aren't the biggest bad. That's clear from the creator. He said that the planet they come from is volatile, and they're high on the totem pole, but they're not at the very top. They're not apex. So they are susceptible to some stuff.
Wait a minute. But listen to what you just said, though. You just said a monster is capable of being ripped.
No, I'm saying to speak to your hypothetical. Like we've only seen them pitted against.
I'm saying hypothetically, if a being or a animal could survive a planet being exploding, then
not all of them survive that. Not all of them survive that.
That's why it's not a whole bunch of them on the
Yeah, not all of them survive that, Carl. A lot of them got killed in
that. I know, but I'm saying, but this is my point though. If you can survive that, I know I'm not saying all of them did, but if you can survive that and re-entry to another planet, that's a pretty high endurance or resistance level.
The white spikes crashed millennia ago and lived in a frozen tundra in stasis.
They crashed on a secure plane.
We don't know if they were bioengineered or if they came from a planet, but they did enter this atmosphere. And
on a plane, Will.
In a ship. Them crashing, I think that's a little point. And I hear your point.
Hold on. Y'all talking over each other. Just keep it cordial. All right.
Okay, Banks.
No, it's fine, but Carl, I hear your point. I just don't agree with it.
Banks.
Which is okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me answer this question.
Banks,
he wants to ask you this
question. What is the more difficult feat? Entering a planet on an actual ship or entering a planet on an asteroid open and exposed?
I would have to go to openly exposed, but it's because they don't need oxygen.
And there's also a caveat with the white spikes. They had no control over that ship, and they were in stasis. Yeah, that's not to say that they haven't been put on planets before, because that is hinted from the creators in Reaching. They are used to clear planets, but we don't know exactly.
I know, but I'm saying if a group of white spikes entered in or on an asteroid and came into the planet, they're not surviving that.
You don't know that, Carl. You just made that up.
They got killed by bullets. Like,
so did the Death Angel. When he figured out the frequency, he blew his head off with a shotgun.
They did that by the same thing.
I know, but like I'm saying after they got exposed to a high frequency, if without that frequency, those bullets weren't doing anything.
I think they're more so like cockroaches, but they have a hard exterior, but when they have a hard exterior or exoskeleton, under the exoskeleton, it's just like anything else. So you just have to expose the exoskeleton. Yeah,
and I think
the white spikes are smart enough to, and they have so many of them, they will eventually learn because the thing has to open its mouth at some point to eat and stuff like that. I think they would learn, because like Will was saying, they learn to take out transportation instead of just chasing people. So it's like they're way smarter.
And the quiet spikes aren't doing that. They're just reacting to stuff.
Yeah, they just react.
They don't. Yeah, they didn't strategically take the planet. White spikes, they clear whole planets. Then they have to bomb the planet after they've cleared it.
So yeah, but I'm going with the white spikes on that one.
We're splitting hairs. Are we ready to put this to the vote? Is it a 2-1 on the white spikes?
It's 2-1.
All right, white spikes have that one for us. For me.
Carl, not so much. Carl's not fucking with the
Carl is Team Death Angel. I'll be honest, Death Angel sounds better than White Spike as a nickname. Like that's
As a name, yeah.
Death
I
Angel as a
give it to
gang.
him as a
If they was gang, yo, Death Angel sounds way better than White Spice.
And then, like I was saying, even if it was 3-on-3, I would have to give it to the Death Angels. But we all know it ain't just gonna be 3 White Spikes. Well, we seen the movie.
Well, and we'd have to put the big female, if we're gonna give them at their best, we have to put a female White Spike with 2 males against those 3. And that might get pretty. That might end up.
I don't know about 3-on-3. I had to give it to the Death Angels, but they not finna run 3-on-3. They don't run just 3 of them. It's gonna be a whole beehive of them outside.
Yeah, I get that. I'm saying though, if they were in a natural habitat, I still don't see the White Spikes just taking them over. Like,
there's no way I'm gonna say Death Angels are beating White Spikes. Carl, let it go.
Okay, you can say that.
I feel like if two
I was just
Death
messing with
Angels,
you, dude.
if 2 Death Angels just roamed into a White Spike nest, then they're not leaving that nest.
I don't necessarily. They wouldn't.
He said they're not leaving the nest.
They're not leaving the nest, dog.
No, I'm not saying that's not their nature in a sense, because like you said, they're reactionary. They stay in the place and then they hear stuff and then come and get it.
According to the canon of both, it's wholly unrealistic. Well, only with the fact that the White Spice would eventually, if they're clearing the planet, they would eventually come across, but they may not even come across each other in a natural, because the White Spice don't venture out. They set up camp in that territory. That's where they're there. You know, they've got the whole planet, but the White Spice we see at least are very territorial to where they have to go to them.
Yeah, that's why I said.
So
that's why I said
they may not ever come across if they're on the same planet on 2 different sides. Like just because we've got these Death Angels being completely reactionary, not around. As long as they neutralize.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying, because the Death Angels all throughout Quiet Place, they just roaming, like they just going different places. So like they could potentially just walk into the nest by accident. But it's usually only 2 of them, 2 or 3, But if they walk in the nest, they not leaving.
All right, so we ended that on a 2-1 White Spikes.
2-1 White Spike.
Next up, excited about this one. Icon versus Blue Marvel. I've got the stats of each. I know, Carl, you are up. Do you want to introduce us to Icon?
No, I'll let you guys do the introduction.
Vaughn, do you want to?
No, because I don't know.
Because I've got skills, powers, abilities, all.
Go ahead, run it down, because I don't have it pulled up, and I don't want to misquote somebody and tell them they got a power that they don't have.
All right, so we are looking at Icon. So this is Icon, real name Augustus Freeman of Dakotaverse. I want to call out first and foremost, most importantly, the importance of the Dakotaverse and what it means to comic books and Black representation. We'll save that for a much, the deep dive on it. But in 1993, you had the God, Dwayne McDuffie, Dennis Cowan, Michael Davis, and Derek T. Dingle. They founded Milestone Media, which was a comic book company focused on up-and-coming Black heroes. They were very diligent and very adamant about giving us that in all of ours. So Icon is basically a DC Black Superman, but a few different caveats with him. Originally, he is actually an alien, Arnis of Terminus. He was marooned in the Deep South back in 1839. His spaceship possesses the ability to change his genetic makeup in tune with the first person he saw. So landing in the Deep South in 1839, he saw a slave by the name of Maria and was transformed into a Black person. But yeah, his spaceship turned him Black, and he stepped up and became, he was kind of on snooze throughout, just to give you a little history, throughout slavery, because he did fight in the Civil War, but he was waiting on the time when Earth could catch up in technology to his, so that he could work on getting back home. And one day, Rocket convinces him that he should become a superhero, real name Raquel. So just to give y'all idea of his powers, and I did mention Dakotaverse because we have another featured hero in the next battle, our next versus, but he has a unique physiology. Aside the fact of the process of his pod manipulating his DNA, or his even alien genetic structure, he possesses a variety of superhuman abilities that are unusual even for a Terminant. So pretty much had the exact same effect that the sun would have on Superman. Granted that Terminants are, somewhat powerful and formidable, but him landing here and blending with our atmosphere just, was like a steroid shot. So He's got superhuman strength, can lift over 100 tons effortlessly, superhuman speed. He is immune to the effects of traveling at high speed. The exact limits of his speed is not known. Superhuman agility. He can move from place to place in the blink of an eye. His agility, balance, and bodily coordination are far beyond the natural physical limits and capabilities of the finest human specimens. Superhuman reflexes, stamina, and flight. He generates a fatigue poison that generates at a slow rate. So it kind of helps him stay, enhanced in a high form, performing at a high stamina through all activities. He can fly by manipulating gravitons and magnetic fields. He has absolute control over his molecular movement. His top speed has not yet been determined, as we said. Enhanced senses, so vision, hearing, sense of smell, sense of taste, sense of touch. Yes, he's overpowered AF. We don't care. Invulnerability, he seems to possess limited superhuman durability. He's capable of withstanding tremendous impact forces, high caliber bullets, but he's not 100% vulnerable. He can withstand exposure to extreme temperatures and pressure, and powerful energy blasts, accelerated healing factor, self-sustenance. He can survive in harsh environments without air, food, or water. Doesn't need to evacuate his body, so he doesn't have to shit or piss. He's also able to survive unaided in space. He can project energy, concussive force bolts, force field stun bolts, enhanced energy punches, a positron field, which detects the presence of bang babies within his vicinity, which we'll get to that.
This is long as fuck.
Yeah, that's the end of his powers, though. Oh, and decelerated aging. So that's Icon.
Yeah,
and on the other side of
that was half the pod.
Nah, bro, that's like 4 minutes, but he's got a lot. Am I sweating?
Bro, this dude, bro. Okay, go ahead.
Damn, I am. Excuse me, guys. All right, I'll make Blue Marvel a lot quicker because he is also another Black Superman, so to speak, created by Kevin Graveau, famed writer of Underworld. Shout out to Kevin Graveau because he's been creating Black representation for the longest. Blue Marvel, he was the hero before heroes, saving the world before the Avengers, all of that. Due to racism in the 60s, he kind of went ghost. So that's literally his story. So he's back now, making a comeback, and looking forward to what's going to happen with that. But he also has superhuman strength. His power has been compared to the likes of Sentry, Hulk, Thor, on par with Superman, not above. Quote from Kevin Graveau himself. Nigh invulnerability. He has survived a hydrogen bomb blowing up in his hands unfazed. He can also survive a nuclear explosion without being unharmed. Antimatter manipulation. He is powered by the negative zone. That is an entire universe of negative energy. He has a cap on that because the main Marvel universe is positive energy, so he can manipulate that to an extent, but he is not on the level of Franklin Richards in terms of matter manipulation, like all inclusive, like he just handled it all. Stun bolts, concussive bolts, energy pulses, flight, longevity. He ages slower, lives longer, but not immortal. Enhanced mental perception and hypercosmic awareness. He can sense and comprehend things on levels far beyond regular humans. Superior Spider-Man once likened him to being an electron microscope. Super genius intelligence, trained combat, courtesy of the U.S. Marine Corps. And yeah, Battlefield is set.
I'm going to go first, just so y'all can go ahead. I'm going Blue Marvel simply because I hate Icon's backstory. If you're a superhero, you could have ended slavery.
Yeah, that didn't hit hard for me.
I can't remember,
like, when I found out he literally hit snooze during slavery. Like
bro, like this. I mean, I wouldn't say he clearly.
He fought the war, but wouldn't do anything he could have done due to his moral compass.
Bro,
excuse me, bro.
I'm sorry. No, I'm giving it to Blue Marvel just off bias. I don't even look. Don't ask me. It's purely bias. That's stupid. I'm not sorry.
But in the same breath, Blue Marvel has his own hang up about how he was treated. We'll get into that after everybody gives their thoughts on who's taking it.
But at least he didn't let slavery go on. You have all these powers, and you're just like, oh, slavery, cool. I'm gonna just be no. I'm sorry, Icon. I'm giving it to Blue Marvel off pure bias. You can disagree with me if you want, but I'm doing it.
Carl, your take?
Honestly, I have to go with Blue Marvel, and like I would say the biggest reason why I would take Blue Marvel against a lot of people, even like not to like start a new debate, but I would choose Blue Marvel over Superman just because he's his own energy source. Like a lot of superheroes, they depend on like outside energy sources, like for their power. Like Blue Marvel is self-sustaining. Like he's his own generator. So
Yes.
however strong he needs to be for a certain situation, all he has to do is just call up upon that energy. And then like anytimes where you have like matter manipulation like at your fingertips or whatever, I mean that's a whole different ball game. I mean, you can make the argument that, I mean, he's probably holding back in 90% of the fights he's in.
The only, from Kevin Graveau, he's definitely in that elite class. There are very few that are on par with Blue Marvel. And for the record, I'm going with Blue Marvel as well, simply because to your point, Carl, he's not only his own reactor, but he's a generator, but he's also his own reactor. I like that.
His own what?
He's his own negative energy reactor and generator.
Okay.
Because although he's powered by an entire negative universe, he generates that energy too and can siphon that from other people. So really, his strongest opponents in the Marvel universe that he faces are the likes of overpowered proton energy, because positive energy that, but he's still formidable against them. Like we've seen Blue Marvel hit Grey Hulk in the mouth and sit him down. We've seen him handle some spats with Thor, get to, stuff like that. Go toe to toe with Sentry in some scats here and there. Not to take away from Icon, he once punched Superman out of the Justice League Tower, and by Superman's own words, nobody, not even Darkseid, had ever hit him that hard. But personal bias because of the stories, and Icon is kind of finite. There was an early run on it, and from back in the day, and they kind of told that story, and there hasn't been a lot from it. He's very stoic and sticks to his moral compass. It's just like you said, he could have done a lot. Not to say Blue Marvel took a seat, but literally his story is what weakened him, because he does have his weaknesses. He's not like immortal, but he was crippled by racism and how the country he was fighting for, because Blue Marvel very much was just doing stuff. It wasn't until a battle with Anti-Man, I think, that his mask got ripped, and then people saw he was black, and then began to, oh no, I can't believe. So it's like, that's it's like, damn, bro, that's relatable as hell.
But you know what? The next time a fucking typhoon is about to hit y'all, I'm not gonna save y'all. I'm out. Blue Marvel.
Bro, it was a
I'm going to work at the post office.
Wait a minute, he's a Negro. So yeah, they kind of realize that.
You're black.
Back on it. Like, so, but in truth, I think a real analysis of their powers, it may result in a stalemate, because neither one of them have a set limit. We know that it's not everlasting, but in what's written of them, we haven't seen them hit a limit yet. But for personal bias, I'm going with Blue Marvel.
I disagree with that. I think Icon has a limit. I don't think Blue Marvel does, just because of the factors that we both just mentioned about him being his own generator and reactor.
Well, that would be thwarted by Kevin Graveau, because he's not impervious and completely invulnerable. He does have some, particularly his best battles against Anti-Man. But you're entitled to your opinion, Carl.
I know, but the president made Blue Marvel retire just because he was black, and he didn't want people to know that the strongest person on the planet was black.
I mean, there was a lot more to it than that, though. He also turned his back on. Well, he didn't turn his back. He was heartbroken by the fact that the reaction to the fact that he's black, and that's a very deep, like, that story. I didn't realize it got that deep, because there's an 5 or 8 part with his introduction to Legend of Blue Marvel, but that's some heavy shit to deal with, because as they trying to bring him back to the Avengers, they do try to recruit him back. Told them, like, and mind you, he is exceedingly, like, Blue Marvel is considered an alpha level threat. That's the label that Stark and Captain America gave him. He is substantially more powerful beyond Omega level mutants and stuff, if we're talking frame it. But also his top dogs, Worldbreaker Hulk, that would be a fight. And this is just from Kevin Graveau. He's in an elite class with very few, like maybe 4 to 5 other people. His regular set, if we see this story unfold, I very much imagine Blue Marvel will be fighting the likes of Thanos's, your sentient Marvel people. But I don't want to take away from either of these black characters that are really what so many people have asked for. I think a serious analysis, it may very well could be a stalemate, but for all intents and purposes of this conversation, I'm going with Blue Marvel.
If they redo Icon, they need to tweak that slavery bit a lot. Just They need to tweet that. Because,
who would play either one of these in a movie?
Let's see, Blue Marvel. Who would I like to see as Blue Marvel? Let me see.
There's always, I mean, it's kind of a cheat code, but there's always Idris Elba. I mean, he could pull it off. For
Who would he play? Like Blue Marvel or Icon?
Blue Marvel. He could pull off Blue Marvel.
We want an old Blue Marvel or young? Because I'm not gonna stunt. I kind of like Mike B.
Well, I mean, Blue Marvel's older in the comics, so isn't he?
It depends on where the Legend of Blue Marvel is younger. Depending on where we pick up at, he could be any Blue Marvel. The MCU. I don't know if that matters, but I don't dislike Idris Elba from an older perspective. I was thinking Mike B.
You know who? My bad. I mean to cut you off. You know who I want to see? I talk too much anyway. No, you good. You know, I want to see Lakeith Stanfield bulk up and play Blue Marvel. That's what I want to see.
I can't see it.
That's what I want to see because he already got the stoic voice.
You know,
like when he actually just talks, he talks like he talks like a comic book character. Like he's like
that could be possible. Nobody saw Heath Ledger as the Joker until he was the Joker. That could be possible. That's
what I want to see, dog.
That could be possible. I'm going with Mike B or John David Washington for Blue Marvel.
Who was the second person?
No. John David Washington, maybe.
Down
there.
I'm sorry. I think John David Washington should be the next Black Panther.
I can see that too, but sticking to Blue Marvel and Icon. For Icon, I think Chiwetel Ejiofor. Just on the look. Doc Strange, the black dude.
No, I'm talking about like I don't know who I want to play Icon. Not saying I don't know about his character. I'm not saying about your choice. I was just saying I don't know who I want to see play Icon. I don't know who I want.
That's just strictly off the look, though. He's got a look that kind of fits, like on first glance. And I heard that in another in a take, and I'm just like, yeah, I could kind of see that. There's a number of artists I think that. Well, didn't we get Denzel as Magneto for something coming up, or was that just a rumor?
It might be.
I have heard nothing about that. So.
I was gonna say Denzel could play an older Icon too if we wanted to.
I would say for Icon, I would like to see Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
Who's?
Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
How you spell that?
YAHYA. He's the guy in upcoming Candyman. I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the guy from Candyman.
Oh yeah. Hey, dude.
I just know him by his first name. Sorry.
That is spot on, Carl. He's got the jaw, the strut, like he's got the face. That's spot on. Okay. Speaking of Candyman, well, no, we'll get that. We got one more versus. Are y'all ready for our next? Well, we all unanimously agree Blue Marvel's taking that 1-3-0.
Yeah, he's mopping the floor.
I think we're going to see Blue Marvel pop up in Phase 4.
Okay, what's next?
Yeah, next.
All right. This is a crowd pleaser, crowd favorite. A lot of us grew up with at least one of them. We have also from the Dakota verse, Static Shock going head up with Miles Morales. I'll make this quick because the powers on these two. Y'all know who Virgil Hawkins is. If you don't, shame on you. He is the first hero out of the Dakota verse. Later, Milestone, of course, was absorbed into DC. You know, he does end up joining the Teen Titans at some point. But to get to Virgil Hawkins' powers, y'all know who the man's is. He is a bang baby. His physiology was altered by a mutant genetic explosion, which caused him to adapt unusual powers. His body itself can generate raw electromagnetic energy, which he has learned to manipulate, control, and enhance. Superconductive electromagnetism. He can sense sources of electromagnetic energy and objects that can be affected by it, such as underground water pipes. He can magnetize, demagnetize electromagnetic fields. Mechokinesis, static, is capable of fixing or operating electronic devices through his electromag manipulation. And he can operate most devices just by touching, even if they aren't plugged. He levitates through electricity, wavelength tuning. He can hear radio waves, literally. He can listen in on police broadband and music stations while it's tapping in the phone lines. That's an excellent strategic power to have. mental resistance. His brain functions like an electromagnetic organ. Due to his status as a metahuman, it amplifies his capacity. So in this instance, just an example, he has overcome telepathic assaults from the Swarm, avoided mental detection from Miss Martian, and most notably, eventually broke free from the anti-life equation, a feat originally considered to be impossible. Electrokinesis, electric displays, electromagnetic force bolts, ball lightning, static clean, electrical transformation. He also has a healing factor. He can recover from injuries faster than normal. He can use that if limbs are severed. He can use the electricity to bring them back. He's noted as having healed from multiple full body stings from the Swarm in less than a day, when they very well would have killed a regular person. Even so, he's been hurt severely enough to where either a nurse had to see him or Frida had to care for him. So that's a wrap on his. He's got high intelligence, tactical analysis, multilingualism. He's learned to speak a few languages, is fluent enough to carry on some conversations. But his weaknesses: insulators, no effect on anything that's naturally resistant to electricity, wood or rubber. Power absorption. He's vulnerable to having his power stolen from an outside force, such as other electrokinetics, and a vulnerability to other bang babies. So people like him, he can be affected by electricity wielding metahumans whose powers are derived from the quantum juice that gave him his powers. So that is Static Shock. Miles Morales, we all know, is our new Black Spider-Man. One day out with his uncle, who turned out to be a super criminal. His uncle picked up a spider. If you saw Into the Spider-Verse with the comics, long story short, that spider ends up with Miles, and like Peter Parker, he gets bitten and gets powers. Only in Miles's universe, Peter Parker is dead. So to run through his abilities, same as Spider-Man for the most, with a few enhancements. He has gained the proportionate abilities of a spider after being bitten by one. Superhuman strength, like Spider-Man, speed, stamina, durability, agility, equilibrium, reflexes, wall crawling, spider sense. Unlike Peter Parker, he has bioelectrokinesis. He possesses control over the natural electricity in his body that his body produces. He is capable of utilizing it for offensive purposes, such as his Venom Blast, Venom Beam, Mega Venom Blast, Venom Punch, and energy thread generation. He can do a spider camouflage, go into hiding, make himself invisible. He has a regenerative healing factor. This is the end, one of his last abilities, able to regenerate his injuries at much faster rate than normal humans. And allegedly, although we'll scratch this for the sake of this conversation, he is allegedly immortal. There's a side effect to that Oz formula that was in that spider, in theory, that allows them to be immortal. Peter Parker figured out that power eventually, but it's not an immediate revival. It's more of after a long death sort of thing. So we'll scratch that for the sake of this conversation, because that's like a serious cheat code. But the battlefield is set for Static Shock versus Miles Morales.
Before we pick, doesn't Miles have some kind of like electrical charge?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The electro, okay. All of that is his bioelectrokinesis. So through that, he can do the Venom Blast, which he sends a shock to enemies that can destroy technology. It's powerful enough to drive away Venom. Dr. Octopus also developed some tentacles that would not conduct the Venom Strike. Okay, so it's powerful enough to where his enemies have had to prepare for it. He can do the Venom Beam, which is bioelectricity that he shoots outward, a Mega Venom Blast, and a Venom Punch. And his energy thread generation is said spinners carry the same tensile prehensility of web fluid, but it's electric. So it allows him to swing from place to place. He can also send a debilitating electric shock, which disrupts the nervous system like his Venom Blast do. Of note with Miles's electric power, because I know somebody's going to bring up Electro, he has been shown, or at least demonstrated, to be able to short out Electro, who is a being made completely of electricity, with one of his electric charges, and knock him out with that. So do with that what you will.
Okay. So as much as I love Static Shock, I have to give it to Miles simply because of that that aspect that he can just nullify static abilities with his electromagnetic, venom punches and stuff like that. But yeah, I would have to give it to Miles simply because of that. If he takes away static powers or nullifies his powers, there's no fight.
How would he take away static's power? Because it's only beings who...
He wouldn't take it away, but can't static
with sharp difference between the two. Static can manipulate electromagnetic.
He
Miles only can manipulate with what his body naturally produces.
I know, but but one of the Static's weaknesses is outside sources can mess with his powers, which will, if the power is being drawn away from Static, then he can't fight.
It's of note that for Static, only electromagnetic bang babies like him. They are the only ones that affect his electric power. Other electric bang babies. Against other villains with general electricity, they're formidable, but it's about who's got the experience.
Okay, well, who you picking, Will?
I'm going with Static.
Why?
What I just said, the ability to manipulate electromagnetic versus only being limited to what your body can naturally produce. Because we see Miles Morales go against people who use electricity, but I don't know if Miles can manipulate it and control it and enhance it to the ability that Static can. Static is essentially a master of electricity.
Okay, so I got a question for both of you. Okay, so Static has the advantage if this is a long range fight, but I think Miles has the advantage if this is managed to get closer in combat to where fist and feet can reach each other. Can Miles get that close to Static?
I don't think he can if we consider the fact that he literally can do force fields and projectiles and stuff like Static. I didn't realize his power set went as deep as it could with electromagnetic shit, but it says a lot to be able to manipulate that on a whim.
All right, well, Banks. Okay, so Miles.
And my answer was the force field thing like that. I don't think Miles really gets close enough.
Okay, so that's the thing. So the force field is a good question, but here's my thing though. Does Miles' natural electric field that he generates, does that provide a buffer for him to get past that force field? Because why not?
Because Static, Miles, it's a side effect for him. Like it's kind of a byproduct, but he's not a master of it. Static can enhance, and being that he can control and enhance, he can make that magnetic force field as strong as it needs to be. And Miles hasn't been shown to wield and work his electricity the way Static.
I know, but I'm not saying does he have control? Does Miles have great control over his electric ability? I'm saying that does his natural electric field provide a buffer for him?
And I also said no, because I answered that because he can. All right, so to frame it, you've got your buffer, right? But against a bigger buffer or somebody who can counter and short out yours by just overpowering you with the same energy, there's only so much in science that even that buffer can handle. Like it can conduct so much. And also we've seen Miles has been compromised by foes with electric powers before. Electro.
But you said
he's had but his stuff, like he's had that compromise. The thing about Electro doesn't actually, he's kind of dumb. He doesn't really utilize his power to the full extent of what he may possibly can do. But we've seen Miles be compromised by foes with, and have to think on his feet, like, okay, how can I get out of this? Ensure physical, possibly. But again, let's remember, if Static were to get something dismembered like that healing, that quickness healer mid, and Static's got some big attacks that I just don't see Miles. Again, the power, the ability to manipulate that electromagnetic thing goes very far in terms, and against somebody whose skill set that's not the main focus. Yeah, you've got the physical, the strength, all that, but essentially,
won't his spider sense help him find weaknesses throughout his force field?
So Miles's spider sense doesn't necessarily react the same way as Peter Parker's or some variations of Peter Parker does, where it allows him to kind of have a precursor, but his is more of an awareness jolt, and usually at the last minute for what's reading through this earlier on Miles. So it gives him an advantage sometimes, but Peter gets the main Peter we know gets a sixth sense before on stuff. Miles usually kicks in right at. It's like, oh no, danger. So it's kind of an alert, not more.
Is that written down? Because I know that's not portrayed the way into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, it's slightly different. But yeah, that's on check the fandom page. And I also peeked at listening to some tapes earlier, some recordings on YouTube. It's slightly different, and that's a minor nuance. It's not like a make or break, but it doesn't quite function exactly the same.
What's up?
So how do you feel like with all of Miles' abilities, the ability to be virtually invisible, superhuman strength, pick stuff up, throw things at him or whatnot, natural electric field or whatnot. You
electromagnetic pulse would nix out the invisible. Just throw that out there.
Okay, but all of these things or whatnot, if he could turn it on and turn it off or whatnot.
No, Miles has been shown to have to charge back up sometimes. It's not a.
I know. I'm saying what I'm saying is like, let's say he chooses the camouflage and then decloak and use it. He can switch between modes or whatnot. I'm Banks. What I'm asking, with all the things he can do, do you really believe it's impossible for him not to penetrate like static's electromagnetic barrier or field that he puts up?
Because Miles' suit is made out of rubber. So like try to use electricity, which is it says right here is one of his weaknesses. Static's power has no effect on things that have natural resistance to its abilities, such as wood or rubber. Miles' suit is made out of rubber.
And what is his web made out of?
His web is made out of like natural, I'm guessing natural web. It's like a spider. Because he doesn't have like the wrist patch like some of the other spiders, the older Spider-Man. He didn't, he actually shoots out like web. It's not like a mechanical gadget that he uses. So I think it's all spider powers. And then like what I was saying about static's powers is just like from what Will was saying earlier, is that like if something can draw away enough electricity, then static can't use it.
But that's only by he's in fact impacted on his electricity by other Bane babies that have been hit. For a character one-off to be able to siphon that's going to take some jigger or some bigger.
But yeah, it says right here, static is vulnerable to having his power stolen from an outside force, such as fellow electrokinetic Prometheus. So like if
I read that as only his Bang babies, like other Bang babies.
It says right up under vulnerability to Bang babies. So it's like if something is able to pull that power away from static doesn't have his power, and Miles
what
is able
would Miles
to
have access to in a fight to do
that?
How would Miles do that? Because again, I thought the camouflage would work too for Miles, but mind you, that's all electromagnetic. That's null and void when you send out a pulse or electric boom, a wave, and you can boom, disrupt your frequency. And so if I've taken away your advantage to camouflage a little bit, and who's gonna play around? Because Miles heavily relying on being able to get close and physically fight, but static can end the fight well before we get to that point with his abilities.
I don't know, though. I had to get that with Miles.
Okay.
I just feel like Miles will be able to nullify his powers with his own electromagnetic stuff. So
okay, so this is just my opinion, but I think I'm not saying that Miles will, if they fought like 10 times, I'm not saying Miles will win every single time, but I think Miles would win majority of the times, just because if he manages to make this a close, a fight within like, I don't know, 5 feet or closer or whatnot, then I think, he's got it.
I need to turn my off. Excuse me, gentlemen.
I like static too, though. So it's not like I'm just trying to watch static because I think Miles would take the fight because would be able to nullify his power.
Yeah, I think if static can keep the fight long distance, then yeah, I think he would win it, because like the only thing long distance Miles has is his webs, and if he's able to throw his electricity with his venom strike, but I'm mainly banking on the fact I think with all of Miles' abilities, spider sense, like invisibility, like the electric nature he has within himself, I think he can find a way inside.
I'm sticking with what I call it's fact that Miles cannot actually manipulate or use electricity to the same power as static. I should have wrote down some of the numbers from some of the feats that static has done, but yeah, he can go.
But that's the thing. But that's the thing. He doesn't have to charge one attack Like he can just
no,
make
but
a
I don't see how you can stick it to the physics, the science of it. A master of the electricity versus like y'all keep harping on Miles' ability to use some of that electricity to counter, but it's like
It's
none
not-
of that counters the guy who actually can.
bro. He doesn't have.
domain on
He doesn't have to counter him specifically.
saying
He
you
just
know
has
what.
to make something
Nope.
big enough that would draw enough electricity away from.
But to do
from
that
him.
against static, understanding his skill set, to do that against static,
He would
I
just
don't
have
think
to make
Miles
a web.
naturally has the
Bro.
ability to do that with his electricity stuff.
He would just have to make a web large enough to that he would make a web large enough that would generate that much electricity. He doesn't have to do it in one attack. He just has to make something big enough.
Why
to
wouldn't
generate-
static just charge and nullify the web then, and like do an energy something? Like why wouldn't he just do that? Because that web's not invulnerable to electricity.
It's not invulnerable. He just has to
It can
make
conduct,
something,
but-
bro. He just has to make something big enough to generate enough electricity that it would draw the electricity away from static.
How does the web extrapolate the electricity? from static?
Because Miles has he has like electric web. He just makes the web and he can
How does it siphon static's electricity though?
because he's making enough electricity to where the electricity draws away from static. That's how you beat static. That's how static always loses. There's not enough electricity in the area for him to use his powers.
So Miles has to make a web ball big enough somehow, something,
Or just
to
a
siphon
web-
his energy before
Or
static
just a web
kills
in
him.
general. He would just make a web, just make something big enough to draw the electricity away from him. But he doesn't.
I still don't know how the web's drawn.
It doesn't have to be like a big Kamehameha wave or spider web ball. It just has to.
I mean,
like,
but how are we making the web siphon the power? Like that's because it doesn't just naturally do that. So what do we?
It just has to generate more electricity to where static can't say. Well, the electricity will be in the web and static won't be able to
So
manipulate.
we're back
it.
to square one because Miles can't generate. I'm banking that he can't generate the electricity over the guy who can literally, like Miles can only use his natural output in his body. Static completely can manipulate, summon, whatever with electromagnet, all of that. He can become electricity. That doesn't.
But that's what I'm saying. So can Electro, but
Electro's a dumbass though. A given note to Electro. No, straight up. Straight up. I shit you not. Electro is the perfect example because I was thinking about that too. Like, okay, Spider-Man fight electric motherfucker, but Electro is the dumbest hero to have electric power to not utilize it to like as the way he's written. There's things he could do to Spider-Man that he doesn't think.
But I'm saying the same way he uses that electric power to nullify his power, he would just nullify it the same way with static. I'm not saying that static's a dumbass. I'm saying the way he nullifies Electro's power is the same way he would nullify static. It wouldn't be like, oh, let me shoot electricity out my hands more than you can. It's not that. It's about nullifying their power so you can beat them.
Let me see if I can find. Do you have anything on that, Carl? Because I was looking for one tidbit of information. Because on that point, Electro also has not done anything of note comparable to what Static Shock has done with the electricity. So that's another key takeaway on that. If we're trying to measure the powers at least. But Carl, you got anything on that? Because I'm looking for this last bit, but I don't know if I'm going to find it in time to.
No, I think y'all did a great job of like covering other aspects that you and I haven't spoken about, and it's always good to hear. Just listening to other people's viewpoints along that lines. I'm still gonna stay with Miles.
2-1 Miles. 2-1 Miles. Sorry, William. You've been outvoted.
Well, what's that last?
Let's see who's next on our list.
That was it.
Okay,
that was it for the verses.
Here was the last thing.
Oh, okay, so I just have a range.
Have had their electrostatic abilities, such as wall crawling, nullified by outside electromagnetic forces. That includes our main series, Peter Parker. And to note with that, Electro's greatest feat to date. Hold on. Scroll back. was blowing up a prison rift, which was equivalent to 160 tons of TNT at most. Static has done way more than that. But we'll come back to that and save that for when we get into the, 2-1. Okay. Y'all give it to Miles. I'm sticking with Static on that.
Okay, so I have a question. Just we don't have to go into detail. Just off the rip, who do you think would win, Bronze Tiger or Killmonger?
I'm not too familiar with Bronze Tiger, so my apologies.
It's okay. Will, what do you think?
I'm gonna table that one because I need to know more about Bronze Tiger. I know he's like up there in terms of hand combat and all that, but I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm not gonna give you a take on that.
And plus, comic Killmonger is a lot different from movie Killmonger, and comic Killmonger is kind of stupid. Like he does.
Yeah, I'm sticking to the facts on the comic canon and stuff like that. I don't do too much of the movie infusion in my takes.
If it were up to me, I would choose Bronze Tiger.
Awesome, bro. Tell us why.
Why? For the simple fact, it's no disrespect. It's no disrespect to Killmonger. It's just the fact that, like, when you're talking about the best martial artists in DC, like, the only person who's arguably a better martial artist than Bronze Tiger is Richard Dragon. If I had to choose between Bronze Tiger and Lady Shiva, I still choose Bronze Tiger. If I had to choose between him and Deathstroke or someone else, I would choose Bronze Tiger. Batman's not even in this league. If you're talking about hand-to-hand combat or whatnot, he's not. I'm sorry.
No, so what you laughing at, Banks?
Oh.
Shaquay's over here being silly, bro. Standing in front of the camera. My bad.
Hit the engineering board, sis.
Get her out of here.
The pod. We're trying to pod over here, sis.
Get her out of here, dog. She's out of here.
All right, that wraps up our first edition of Versus. Next on the talk track, Jedi or Sith?
If you don't pick Sith, we cannot be friends. I just want both of y'all to know that right now.
I'm gonna just go ahead and let it Sith gang all day, bro. Darth Durag. That's a thing. I made that character up, and one day you might see
drawing that line in the sand. Don't pick Sith. I'm drawing that line in the sand. If you don't pick Sith,
yeah, that's
we are in.
What's your reason behind? Here's my reason behind the Sith pick. Jedi's can't smash, bro.
No cutty for the Jedi.
No sniffs, no whiffs, no none of that. None of that. No
titty sweat, no nothing, bro.
No lust, no Pornhub, none of that. Jedi's can't do it.
Yeah, listen.
I'm all right.
Hold on. That may be true. That may be true. And while I will say that is a very good point, the Sith killed little kids. So I'm just not.
Jedi do too.
Where?
Jedi do too.
Gotcha. Checkmate.
I said where?
Like in the movie, when they
Anakin was not yet the Sith when he murdered those.
Oh, he was.
He was not yet the Sith. He was.
Yes, he was
not yet the Sith.
Yes, he said his name. He accepted his name and everything.
It was still a Jedi.
Yeah, he was a Sith when he.
Thank you, man.
I'm giving him
that was his ascension to Sith. Like he was like after he did that. But when
Jedi had on Jedi robes, though, he didn't even have a Sith lightsaber. Is the cycle complete without the full transformation?
Yes, when you start murking little kids left and right, it's complete.
But look, this is the way I look at it. When you go to unmarked planet and then you just start destroying stuff because Sith are there, you're gonna have some collateral children killed. Like, there's no way you destroy a planet for
plenty of children have died in Jedi conflict as a result.
Like
that's not a new thing.
Yeah, I'm saying okay.
They might not walk up on them and purposely murder them.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Banks. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase my statement.
Okay.
The Sith purposely go in to intentionally kill kids with the initial, like, I'm about to walk.
What other Sith have done that?
Huh?
what other? Because with Anakin, that was targeted at the Jedi, so they were dying because they were Jedi, not because they were kids. Is there any other instance where Anakin went and killed random kids, or any other Sith have done?
He didn't kill no Sith babies. He killed Jedi.
Yeah,
babies.
like is there any other Sith that is actually we know in the Star Wars has gone and just murdered children?
I'm pretty sure they have.
I wouldn't put it past them, but
That's not what do we know of any that we can to frame it? Because you said Sith murdered kids, and we just have one instance where they were Jedi children.
That's enough.
They were Jedi children, Carl. They had to go in alignment with the Sith plan.
Oh, you are a Sith, all right.
But look, here's my reasoning for picking Jedi. I mean, for not picking Jedi. They're a bunch of hypocrites.
Facts.
They tell people not to love, not to do this, not to follow, not to, So if y'all doing all this, how do y'all keep reproducing? How do y'all, how do you say that they say that, love creates favoritism, but like, y'all all have y'all favorites.
To the dark side. So at least one way.
But I'm saying everybody in the Jedi organization has their favorite. Everybody has their Padawans. Your Padawan is your favorite. You look after them. You naturally grow attached to them. So it's like they're just a bunch of hypocrites. They tell you not to have human emotion, or I ain't gonna say human because Sith ain't
not to feel
human.
Yeah.
Okay, Banks,
they tell you not to
answer that.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, so I would. The only thing I would disagree. I don't think the Jedi tell you to not to. They don't forbid human emotions or whatnot. It's just that they forbid. The reason they forbid like marrying and like having kids or whatnot is because like a lot of times when people like the reason the Jedi take kids away like from their families at an early age is because like when you develop those like I guess like family ties or whatnot with like a mother or father or a wife or a child or a husband.
You're gonna pick your child over somebody else who make
somebody can use that leverage against you to do like bad things. And whereas like everybody who's in the Jedi Council, whatever, they believe, and it's true, like death is not the end. Like because of like the way they're trained with the midi-chlorians and everything like that. Like, I mean, if we've seen this over and over, like there've been Jedis that have just faded off just because they know like they're going on to another stage where they're gonna see everybody.
I have a point to that because that's something. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and get right to it. But you said the Jedi don't tell people to feel emotion. That's false. The Jedi code bans them from feeling any kind of attachment, romantic or otherwise. That is the Jedi code. Yeah. So that includes emotions with that. Another reason I'm picking Sith.
Go ahead. I mean, my bad. I'm saying they do that because they want you to make the decision for the greater good instead of the selfish decision. But it's like it's not a selfish decision, bro. It's my wife.
They're trained to empathize and care for others without sacrificing their own well-being.
Yeah, so it's possible. Like
a strong and negative, such as hate, anger, romance, sex, love, all that well forbidden. And we know that those are the pillars for. I mean, you can't feel those. You're basically saying you can't feel.
Yeah, and it's like as a Sith, I can choose to do what I want to do. Like I can use anger. If somebody kills my son, I'm gonna be angry. Yes, and when I see you, I'm going to push that anger onto you and avenge my son. But as a Jedi, they just be like, "Oh, your son's dead. We'll find the person that did it, but don't be angry." Like, no, nigga, I'm angry. I'm supposed to be angry.
So, I would put it like this: I don't even necessarily have to, because you don't officially become a Sith unless you are following behind you, the apprentice, and then you kill your master, become a Sith, and you take yours. I would just be trained in the dark arts and just go rogue. Man, you got to be a Sith. Y'all dead anyway. Okay. But another reason I'm choosing Sith over Jedi because they are incompetent. They are incompetent. So Carl was talking about how the difference between Jedi and Sith, how they see death, which is 100% true, right? Because Jedi are kind of trained that death is not the end. And a few of them are able to crack into the Force, like being able to come back in the Force, what I'm going to call Force magic. We've seen Qui-Gon do that, Obi-Wan, Yoda, Anakin, there's a few others, right? From the end of A New Hope to Return of the Jedi, Why didn't anybody come back through Force Magic and say, hey, the Emperor's still out in the galaxy building shit, an army? Because they could have done that.
It was out there smoking hookah.
They could have. That's like, it seems to me throughout the entirety of the Star Wars trilogies, like the Jedi Knights openly invite the smoke from the Sith because they never go follow through and quell the entire, like from Return of the Jedi to The Last Jedi, we've got what, 4 movies because there's an in-between. What's the in-between?
Han Solo movie?
No, not Rogue Squadron. That's the in-between 4. There's what movie did you say?
Han Solo?
Yeah, no, that's a prequel. We got
prequel.
Mandalorian filling some gaps. That takes place 50 years after Return of the Jedi, but sometime before Force Awakens. There's a lot of time between that for somebody trained, because Force Magic isn't an infinite ability. They can't just always. But we see Yoda come back to talk to Rey on the island. You telling me, Yoda, you couldn't tell them where Luke was? You couldn't sense that the Emperor was out? Like, what are you doing, bro? Why aren't y'all Jedi?
First off, can I say something real quick?
Wait, before you say that, and Sith have better costumes.
Absolutely. You can't ever go wrong with all black. That's why Luke.
Okay. All right, so
go ahead, Carl.
I just find it interesting that you guys are just completely overlooking the fact that the Sith can't even trust. I mean, they can't even trust one another. I mean, pretty much the big, you could argue outside of the Jedi, the biggest demise of the Sith is them killing each other. I mean, so you mean to tell me this person who I put my blood, sweat, and tears in, training in the dark side of the Force, I'm just living out my days till they backstab me with a red lightsaber. It's coming. It's coming.
So that was a law enacted by Darth Bane, correct? Was it Darth Bane that enacted the law of 2?
I'm not sure.
Either, that's just a law, Carl. That can be overturned. Vaughn, if we Sith gang, you murking me, bro?
Yeah.
No,
I said Vaughn. I ain't talking to you, Carl.
Bro,
I'm talking to my guy Banks.
Bro,
Banks, we Sith gang. You murking me, fam?
No, we're Darth.
I ain't murking you either. We just go Sith gang it up, bro.
We are Darth Vader and Darth Nihilus and this shit all.
Bro, you're not Sith. If you haven't tried to kill
who ain't
your
Sith?
guy at least
who
one.
Ain't Sith? It's Darth Durag, bro. I don't know who you talking to. It's Darth Durag right here.
Hold on, you're too nice. Too nice.
Nah, bro, me and my man's just gonna roam the galaxy doing
Sith. It's Darth Revan, Darth Nihilus. That's me and Will, dog. We just roaming doing what the fuck we want to do.
We just roaming doing Sith shit. That's what we doing. Hey, y'all want to see our lightsabers?
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, give me your crab cake right now.
Force magic. Boom. Shit like that, bro. That's all I'm doing. What you do? We want to be blowing up planets, taking over galaxies? Nah, bro. We chilling in the dark
side. In the dark side, doing what we want to do.
Doing what we want to do, bro.
We got alien prostitutes. Just doing what we want to do, dog.
We on Coruscant just kicking it up.
Watching the animal races, just chilling, dog.
Listen, y'all describing the gray side of the Force, not the dark side, the gray.
Carl, we get it. You want to be a Jedi? Go join your little Jedi friends and
go hold hands and make rainbows. And have your children snatched away from you at 2 years old.
And get murked by some Sith G's like us, because we're gonna roll up on you, catch you slipping, you know what I'm saying? And we're gonna laugh and you can't love. You gone.
And then we're gonna tell your son it was a Jedi that did it. He gonna believe it because they kidnapped him when he was
corrupt 3. Him, teach him the ways of the dark side. No, that's episode 10 right there. We just did it.
Yeah. And he's gonna have to make the moral decision to either turn on us, the people that raised him, or go back to the Jedi way. He's gonna pick us.
Who's your favorite Jedi, Carl?
Mace.
Mace one dude. I can fuck with that because he was
my man. We all agree on that one. And I really hate the way they did him in the movie, because have y'all read Shatterpoints?
No, I just know he was way stronger than that though.
Dude, Shatterpoint is it's a definitive Star Wars book, one to have in your collection. It's so good, but bro, with what Mace Windu can do, his skill set within the Force, 1, he shouldn't have lost that fight. 2, he shouldn't have lost that fight. I was not pleased, not happy. Yeah. They did my man Samuel.
Bro, they just pushed him out a window. Like, this was so lame.
Dude, first off, I hate that they keep the Emperor has gotten a pass, bro. This man has gotten washed across at least several decades, generationally. and to give him this, like, Mace Windu can literally see your weak points in the Force. How do you lose? How? That is every Jedi has a strength within the Force, sort of like a gift within the Force, a gift within the gift, so to speak. Mace Windu's shadow points in the Force, he can look and see vulnerabilities in. It's like, so with somebody who can literally see your, like, how do you plot hole? Another plot hole. Maybe we should still have Mace Windu in the Star Wars universe, right?
Maybe he didn't die. We didn't actually see him hit the ground.
I don't think he died.
Oh.
We didn't actually see him hit the ground. Maybe he floated off because he got Jedi powers.
If Princess Leia can fly back from the vacuum of space using the Force, then Mace Windu.
Bro, she was like, no, she was like dead, flying backwards. I'm alive. Like, no.
She was dead. Which I'm not mad at it, but I'm just saying, if she can do that, then Mace Windu can definitely not die from being electrocuted out of a window. So,
bro, she got blown up out of a spaceship.
Oh, shit blew up, fool. And she was
floating in space like this, bro. She was floating in space like this. And they sucked her into the ship. And she's like, oh, got you. Not dead.
Hold up. So, a question, because I kind of wanted to wonder this myself, and this might sound dumb. The captain, Laura Dern, who went light speed through the other ships, did she die?
I don't know. I don't know. I had to watch.
Am I the only one who thinks that the fact that she went light speed through them probably gave her some sort of force advantage to where she maybe ripped right through and just warped into, or does physically does she still blow up with them in the process and just blows up in light speed?
Yeah, you're the only one.
There's only 3 of us on the pod, Carl.
I don't recall. So it's like
I'm gonna take that one to the streets and just ask people. That'd be pretty cool. Just,
hey,
do y'all think Laura Dern died in Force Awakens?
Yeah, comment below if Laura Dern died. Leave your comment.
All right. Are we wrapping up Star Wars? Are we good on that? Is that? I mean, obviously it's 2-1 Sith on Jedi. Carl, you already heard this conversation. We didn't.
Don't come on this side of town, Carl.
I'm just saying it's really 1-1 because one of y'all are gonna take each other out. So.
No, we're not. We're dark nihilists.
Nah, fam.
You're not dark side. Hey, you're not on the dark side. Then if y'all not fighting at some point.
How you gonna tell us when you ain't never been on the dark side, bro? You a Jedi. Stay over there.
We don't have to follow the rules. That's the whole point of being on the dark side. We do what we want to do.
So you tell me I gotta be on the dark side just to see what's going on?
No, to understand the dark side, it is recommended, and Luke Skywalker is a you have to move over to try in order to become.
So basically, what you're telling me is like So basically, what you're telling me is if I see 2 people fighting, I can't know what's going on unless I join the fight.
We not fighting though.
We not fighting.
No, you got to join the dark side, bro.
Yeah, you got join the dark side. We got a free trial waiting for you. Come on over here, get your 7 days.
Come on, get to it real quick.
If you don't like it, you can go back. That's the whole part of dark side. You make choices for yourself.
Yeah, bro.
You guys do realize you're talking about you're more so describing a hybrid between the light and the dark. You're not fully dark.
We talking about exactly what we talking about.
Yeah, we talking about
you just don't like it.
We want to do.
You don't like it, but that's what.
No,
but true story. Go ahead, Bob.
It wasn't no gray in the original 3 Star Wars. It was dark and it was Sith and.
I know, but I'm saying like what y'all describing ain't dark. It's more so gray.
Because
I'm not saying how we not dark. Like we're not saying we just goody 2 shoes. Like we definitely
not
all
Jedis.
Black, red lefts. Yeah, we beefing on Jedis. If we see you on Tatooine, it's problems. It's on sight. But aside from that, we just regular Sith niggas. We just out here doing what Sith do.
Yeah, we just do what we want to do.
Making choices.
So you're trying to take over the galaxy.
No, that's what Sidious was trying to do. Not all Sith trying to run the galaxy.
Yeah, the Sith initially just want to do what they want. They want to have free will, and Jedi's like, well, free will causes problems, and that's why they take it away from people.
Yeah, it's like a classic battle of never mind. I'm not gonna make that political. Never mind. But there was one.
It's kind of like what Loki was about too.
Yeah, we bring back Sith planet. That way, be a whole planet of us, and Carl can say nothing. We just go back and convert people to Sith and just be like, yo, come live with us on our planet. There was a Sith planet before they all killed each other because Darth, what's his name?
Hold on. They all did what?
That was by law.
Each other because they went mad.
That was by law.
So I'm just saying, but they all did what?
Well, you like to move the goalpost so much now. So as Sith, we can't just reverse the law, Carl.
Yeah, because I'm not a Sith bloodline. I'm not an actual Sith race.
Nah,
I just follow the rules of the Sith.
we Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
We are very much Knights of the Old Republic.
That's exactly what we are. Darth
on.
Revan and Darth Nihilus just out here just beating people ass and doing what we want to do.
It's,
Drinking a little
it's,
champagne.
hold on. Honestly, it sounds like you guys are light side, but you just like to drink, fight, and just have women.
I don't drink.
You can't have women in Jedi, so you can't be light side.
I'm just not giving up women. I'm not giving up any aspect of the opposite sex.
I'm not giving up space coochie, and I'm not giving up red lightsaber.
No, I'm
definitely not giving up red lightsabers.
I don't know. You do realize the saber turns that color based on like what energy you put out.
Based on the crystal. Based on the crystal.
I don't think you guys will put out red lightsaber energy.
Based on the crystal. You can make that and you can put the crystal in.
Are you questioning it?
It doesn't. The color's not off your energy. It's off the crystal you put in your
It's the crystal and your energy.
The red is coming from mostly that red crystal.
It's coming from the red crystal, but that's what
the crystal turns that way because you because of your actions or whatnot, and you can bleed it though. It's not based off what crystal.
Did you just make that up, Carl?
No, it's like that for real. The crystal part came from the game, but the crystal's actually in there, but it goes off your energy. That's why Anakin's eyes start turning red when he starts turning dark.
There's a kyber crystal found, most notably the ice cone. The crystals attuned to the Force connected Jedi Knight on a deeply personal level.
It goes by your personal choices. But in the game, they
So what about the dark saber? Because certain sabers anybody can wield, like the dark saber or the, that's wieldable by anybody, but that doesn't necessarily indicate that. What is that about?
As the universe expanded, they started changing stuff. But originally, the crystal was the Force. The color of your lightsaber came from were you dark side or were you light side.
Here's an interesting fact: colors also show your rank. Never knew that.
I didn't know that either. I had no idea it went by rank.
Or it seems like from what I'm reading, it seems like that there's a differentiation. Blue and green typically indicate Jedi, but yellow is for tower guards, stuff like that. And there's a variety of these crystals, gems, or stones. But
so this honestly, you guys would probably be some orange and some purple lightsabers.
No, bro,
I'm gonna be red, like I said, Carl. You're not gonna like
this man Carl is questioning our red lightsaber capabilities.
Y'all are not about
lightsabers. Carl wants us to be in his little gray area of the Force. No,
listen, y'all aren't about the red lightsaber life. That's not who y'all are.
This man is questioning our red lightsaber life. I'm about to go kill some kids right now.
I'm just saying, why haven't we murked Carl yet? Like, isn't he on tap to shoot womp rats?
Out of here,
Let's go land our spaceship on top of him. So we have 2 Sith gang, 1 Jedi. Ew. All right. I think how long have we been on, guys? This has been a good pod.
Been on about 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I do want to, holy shit. Damn. Okay. I do want to, as we bring this to a closure, we want to thank y'all for the privilege of your time, to our avid listeners out there, the millions and millions. But last but not least, I really want to shout out Black women in Marvel, what they are doing. Nia DaCosta has been tapped to direct. I gave out wrong information last episode, but she is going to be directing Captain Marvel 2, and this is coming off of Candyman, which has not hit theaters yet, but I'm excited to go see it, and I will be doing that.
August 28th.
August 28th, Candyman. Say his name. Was it 5 times?
Say it 5 times in the mirror, and you shall never speak again.
That's basically you choosing death penalty, if y'all didn't know. So, and Stacy.
That's right up y'all's alley. Is red lightsabers.
Yeah. I might
get
Candyman to have a red lightsaber, and then we can go around the universe throwing bees on people.
Hey, say my name. Say my name 5 times, and my lightsaber comes on in your bathroom mirror, and I appear just like boom. I'm here. What you need?
I'm just gonna act like you didn't say that.
I just did, Carl. I just did. You deal with it. You deal with it. They like them apples. Also, shout out to Stacey Osei Kafour. She has been tapped to write Blade. And she was this is coming off, she was a scribe on Watchmen and did some storyboard editing there. So if you watched Regina King's Watchmen, that was on HBO that unfortunately was canceled for whatever reason. But I'm excited.
Why are they canceling good stuff?
They're red lightsabers.
The Watchmen cancel. Carl wishes. The Watchmen cancel. I question mark. Not sure why, because it was a stellar first season and it did pretty good. So aside from that, guys, I think next week we're gonna dive into some zombie survival. Walking Dead's coming back. Touch on some what would you do scenarios. There was a third installation to the Train to Busan series Peninsula that's been out for about a year now, but it's on Shudder app if you haven't seen that yet. So just kind of getting into some zombie survival and what that looks like. Yo, Apocalypse Squad. How about that? What would your Apocalypse Squad be, and what would y'all do if shit hit the fan tomorrow in an all-out zombie World War Z? But that'll be for next weekend. What else we got coming up on the talk track? Are we ready for a Justice League breakdown? Anything else? Or it's tabling DC EU for another later date?
After, I know, like you said, next episode we're going to talk about zombies. A little bit later, I know, I forgot what it is that you guys said there would be a good topic, but we'll let you guys know. We got. What'd you say?
I said, tune in and find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
And speaking of which, for those who don't know, you can check out the Prism Black Podcast streaming through Anchor on Spotify as well as our YouTube channel. That is at Banks himself. But are we going to change that to Prism Black? Like, do we have a
I can try to change it. I don't know if they'll let me change the username. I know they let me change the title handle to change it to Prism Black, but I made it a while back ago. So, but if I can, I will, no doubt.
Y'all go check out some of Banks' early content too, man. His some of them drawing videos, tutorials, all that, bro. Bro got some stuff up there. Yeah, show some love. We appreciate the support. This is Murphy's Law 615. I am signing off out of 3000.
And this is Banks himself, aka Banks himself, aka Banks himself. I'm also
3 times for you.
And I'm Carl Tomlinson, aka Chaos Black. I enjoyed it.
All right, we'll see y'all next week. Wrong button.